All right, this is a video for today's reading assignment. I couldn't find the document that the school district wanted you to read, so I found one that I thought was a little more interesting. If you want to pull it up by clicking on the link on Google Classroom right up here and following along with me, that would be great. This is an interview with a lady who lived during the pandemic influenza of 1918. So kind of similar to what we're going through now, but it was a different disease and it was the flu instead of a coronavirus, and it was in 1918. And this lady's name is Agnes Gatlin. So as I'm reading, if you would follow along, and then you can answer the questions using the sentence stems in this box. All right. So this is Agnes Gatlin talking. Um, Saying, "We didn't have any in our family, but we had it in the neighborhood and we knew. Everybody thought it was terrible, a disease. So we didn't travel much back then because we didn't have a way of traveling and we stayed at home. We knew how bad it affected some in the neighborhood. Some of our relatives had it. They were deathly sick and bedridden, and they were all, seemed to be everybody thinking they'd eventually die from it. They lived, the others, of course. Took a long time to get over it. The fear was the main thing. Everybody was afraid of it. In our neighborhood, there were a number of deaths. Of course, it was scattered. As I say, we didn't travel much back then. The families and the neighbors that could would come in and help them, but they didn't have any outside people much to do that. A lot of people didn't have a lot of stuff, but a lot of the old home remedies that you can still use is good. They used all of them back then because that's all they had to work with mostly. The schools went on, they didn't close. That's a little different than how we're handling things now. Anne Brantley, the interviewer, says they did not. Agnes Gatlin, of course, they were country schools and diseases didn't spread very fast back then. Most people back then raised nearly everything they ate, and so if they ran out, they just had to wait. They didn't buy anything much because they had gardens and they took care of most everything except for flour and sugar, stuff like that. I put canned stuff, and of course, I almost always kept plenty of flour and sugar and coffee and stuff like that you have to buy mostly. We didn't have wheat, but we had plenty of corn. We always had homemade meals and kept that on hand. Well, as far as food and stuff, I did like we always did, using things that you have and keep them. We have, deep freezes weren't in vogue then. But now you could buy all this stuff and have this stuff on hand and keep some of it. Just like we have here in the beauty shop, they keep plenty of water in case of emergencies that we can have some water to drink. They could do that in the country too, keep a supply, a room prepared for it. I think that people in this day and time need to take more in consideration of diseases are transferred that way and be informed about them. A lot of people know when they don't do, but they need to know enough to do. So that was the reading assignment. Hope you followed along with me. And if you're having problems answering the questions, just let me know.